Hi, good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Just want to be respectful of everyone's time. Just as a reminder, this is a recorded training/info session. So if you don't want to be recorded or be on camera, just to make sure that you can either turn your cameras off, but please also make sure to mute yourselves as well so that there's no disturbances throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, please enter any questions you have into the chat function. Brianna, our workforce and MRC specialist, will be monitoring the chat, and then we'll address any questions towards the end. All right, and then if you haven't, figured it out, this is the 2023 Philadelphia Marathon info session/training session. And I say it's an info/training because we do like to make sure that all volunteers have access to this information, just so that, when we do this next year or in coming years, everyone's kind of familiar with it, knows what it's about. But this is also a training session as well, just for those who are actually deploying this upcoming weekend, or who are hopefully, willing to deploy this upcoming weekend, have the information that's vital to the deployment, so that you have all the information that pertains to your arrival time, the meeting location, all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just be sure to mute yourselves. If you have any questions, you can enter them in the chat, and we'll get started. All right, so hi, I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with most of you, or you're familiar with me by now, but I am Satori Gibson. I'm your Philadelphia MRC coordinator. I'm happy to be with you, or be here with you this evening. And then joined with me this evening, as I mentioned earlier, is my colleague and our new MRC workforce specialist, Brianna. Brianna will also be at the Philadelphia Marathons with us this year, so you'll get to meet and engage and interact with both of us. And then we're just going to kind of run through the agenda for this evening's training. So we're going to talk about a few things. First thing we're going to talk about is arrival time, meet-in location, and check-in, the really essential bits of information. Then we're going to kind of dive more into driving directions and parking vouchers and what that all will kind of look like. I'll lead into talking about just-in-time training and the scope of practice for the volunteers who will be deployed the day of. And then we'll talk about event credentials, security, your volunteer roles, responsibilities, and other expectations like that. And then we'll kind of just finish off with what to do when you're checking out of this deployment. And I'll just kind of run through all of this. Again, like I said, if you have any questions, you can feel free to enter them into the chat. And we'll just kind of run through this. And I hope you won't have any questions, because hopefully I'll answer all of them before they pop up. But I'm just going to kind of give you all the information that's vital to this deployment. So just as a little background, if you aren't familiar with the special events that we do every year, the Philadelphia Half and Full Marathons are just two of the events that we support the Philadelphia Fire Department in their EMS and medical tents every year. And so we also do Made in America, the Broad Street Run, for those of you who are familiar with that. And then we also support the EMS and medical tents at the Wow Wow Welcome America Festival for 4th of July. So this is a little bit different. Just like Made in America, it is a 2-day event. So there's 2 parts to this. This year, it'll take place on this upcoming Saturday, November 18th, and then Sunday, November 19th. Saturday is like the big day. So that we're doing both a half and then a full marathon. So you'll see thousands of runners, thousands of Philadelphians and others coming from a wide range of places coming to run in Philadelphia this weekend. It'll be down at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. And so that's where we'll mainly be located, in the EMS and medical tents, kind of right up in the heart of all the chaos and all the energy that'll be going on the day of the marathon. So really essential to the deployment is to know about arrival time, meet-in location, and check-in. So your arrival time, I apologize. It is a very, very early day. This is actually the earliest deployment that we have out of all of our annual special events, because we do have to be on site, meaning I have to meet with all of you by 5:30 in the morning. It's a little early, but if you think about it, the race really starts to get started around 7. Philadelphia police will actually shut down the streets. I'm going to do closures around 6 a.m., which is why in big, bold red, it says right there in the middle, no later than 6 a.m. Please do not get there later than 6 a.m. if you are planning to deploy with us. For Saturday, arrival time will be 5:30, and then the deployment should wrap up around 1, and we'll plan to dismiss volunteers at 1 p.m., if not sooner than that. It really just kind of depends on when the last bit of runners kind of get through, and making sure that no one else needs any, God willing, any, or God forbid, any medical attention. And so Sunday, it'll be from 5:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. Again, with the potential early dismissal time always kind of there. It just really depends on when the majority of the runners kind of finish the marathon. And then so the meeting location, so all volunteers, please arrive again at the beginning of your assigned shifts, which will either be designated to you or pointed out to you in your deployment summary. And the essential information about this right here is that we will be all meeting at the Philadelphia Art Museum parking garage. That is our designated meeting location. That is where we have secured parking through the city and through PFD and partnering with them. So parking for anyone, and I'll get into that actually, I believe, in the next slide. Here we go. Parking is covered for you. You will receive parking vouchers. So all you'll need to do for those who are planning on driving to this event and to this deployment, there will be a police checkpoint. I've marked it off here on the presentation here. You'll see this is the entrance to the Philadelphia Museum of Art parking garage. And then I will send, of course, all of these very detailed information pertaining to parking in your update for your deployment summary. If you've already gotten stuff from us, you'll get more stuff from us. We try to keep you as updated as possible. So another update will go out, if not tomorrow, then Wednesday, with the attachments for, like, exactly where you're supposed to go for parking, for what you're going to show the police officer who will probably be at the parking garage, just making sure that no outside traffic is coming in, because it is reserved for those who are working the event. So we'll just, cover all of that in your deployment summary. But essentially, when you arrive at the parking garage, please get there on time. Your window of opportunity, we're asking that you get there, and we're meeting up with you by 5:30, but no later than, and I'll stress this a little later on, but absolutely no later than 6 a.m. because they will not let you in the parking garage. Parts of Fairmount Avenue and other, connecting streets around that will be closed off. So even if you're working the race, police have been known to cut that off in the past, which is why we're really stressing being on time for this deployment. And again, we do know that this is the early days, so we do very much appreciate you coming out and deploying with us, but please keep that in mind. Again, your directions will be linked in your deployment summary of exactly where you need to go. Your passes will be given to you upon your arrival. It'll be essentially, once you come into the garage, you'll get a little ticket. If you're familiar with the Art Museum garage, it's just a little printed off ticket that you'll get. And then what we'll give you is a sticker that'll go, it's a barcode, it'll go right on your parking garage ticket. And then when you leave, it'll just, you scan it and it'll let you out and you can enjoy the rest of your day. So please make sure when you're arriving that once you've signed in with us, we will make sure to pass them out, but please make sure that you get a parking voucher before you leave. At the end of the deployment can be a little chaotic, so I just want to make sure that we hand them out before we even get started, just so everyone's covered. For those of you who are either walking because you may live nearby, or whether you're taking public transportation, whether you're walking, again, I really appreciate you coming out with us. Please keep in mind that even with walking, because it's a marathon, they will be putting up road closures and certain sidewalks may be a little bit closed. So please take that into account when you plan your route that morning. If you round into any security checkpoint or any police officer, you can just let them know that you're volunteering with the Philadelphia Medical Reserve Corps. They're familiar with us, but you could also always have your deployment summary pulled up for them. If you have any other further issues, not that you should, or not that, we're anticipating that, but if you do, you can please have them, you can call me, I will come get you. Brianna will also be on site. She can come get you. Another one of our colleagues will be on site. They'll come get you, so we'll make sure that you're covered on all bases. But we haven't had issues in years past with volunteers who are either coming by foot or even if you're biking, getting through any security checkpoints, as long as you identify yourself as a Philadelphia MRC or Medical Reserve volunteer, or you also show them your deployment summary. either has worked in the past, both have worked. I mean, we haven't, like I said, had those issues, but if you do have any issues, you will have my contact information, you'll have Brianna's contact information that will make sure that someone will come and physically get you to bring you to the point where you're supposed to be. Which brings us to my next point. All right, so your credentials and volunteer roles, all of us will be working in the EMS and medical tents at the marathon, and that will be right on the parkway. So if you get to any security checkpoint and you may feel a little like, I don't know where I am, ask anybody for the medical tent. Tell them, you know, you're an MRC Medical Reserve Corps volunteer, you're looking for the medical tent because you're working this event. They'll support you, or they'll show you right to the medical tent where you're needed. It's a big white tent with red letters on the side, and I'm pretty sure it's hard to miss, but everyone should pretty much be familiar with it. If you're a volunteer and you've done this with us in years past, you know pretty much know where it is. It's in the same central location. It's right off of the stairs of the art museum. So like it's smack dab in the middle of the parkway. But again, for those of you who will be meeting up with us before, of course, we'll escort you to the medical tent. And then if you do happen to run into one of those checkpoints, just ask for directions to the medical tent and they should be able to guide you. But if not, you can always, like I said, reach out, and myself, Brianna, or someone else will come touch base and then kind of escort you back into the medical tent where you need to be. So for credentials, event passes will be provided to you upon check-in. You will have a sort of like a lanyard and a pass on that lanyard that states that you're supposed to be at the marathon. It'll say medical on it. Years past, it said medical tent or med tent, something like that. So that it's or medical volunteer, something like that. But that is also to say, if you do have any MRC, branded attire, please wear it. We do plan on bringing you a special surprise for this marathon, for those of you who are coming out, because it is a little bit chillier this time of year. So we want to make sure everyone is warm. With that being said, we do cover this in your deployment summary, but please, and I stress this every year, please bundle up. Bundle up like it's 10 below, because that way you can just peel off layers if you need to and you'll still be comfortable. The medical tent is heated. Thankfully, we are in the only heated medical tent on the site, but I do just want to stress, with the doors on the medical tent open, or, the flaps of the tent open, it will get chilly. In years past, it snowed, it's rained. So we just want to make sure everyone, is covered and will be comfortable. So please, of course, closed-toed shoes, long pants, please layer up, make sure you're warm. There will be a designated area where we can put belongings, and they'll it's secured in the medical tent. Nobody will touch them. I'll be there, Raina will be there, another one of my colleagues will be there. So your stuff will be secure inside the med tent. Once you get inside that med tent, the medical command for the tent, in years past, it's been Dr. Crawford Meacham. They will identify themselves. They will identify exactly what everyone is supposed to be doing, what the expectations are. There's roles for, we have Rothman, we have people from, just all over. We have it's a big collaborative effort that everyone comes together and for the city to kind of support this event with thousands of people and thousands of runners. So our main goal is to keep everyone safe. So just please make sure that when the volunteer roles and expectations are being described to you, that you're please, paying attention to that information, because it is very, very vital, especially, the medical command may announce something that's relevant to that day, or maybe that specific marathon. So please just keep that in mind. And again, event passes will allow you entry and exit through the security checkpoints. You should have no issue exiting or entering any security checkpoint. With that being said, while the race is happening, there will be certain checkpoints that will not be accessible. Obviously, you cannot walk straight through where the volunteers are, where the runners are supposed to be running. There's certain places where we aren't allowed to walk through when the race has begun, but those will be designated and pointed out to you the day of. Any pertinent information you need to know will be given to you that day of. If any updates, arise between now and then, Brianna and myself will do our very best to communicate that with you. And then when we all get together the day of the deployment, I will personally give you a just-in-time training, just, rehashing anything that needed to be, maybe said twice, or maybe giving you any additional information that maybe I just received the morning of, or any updates that will essentially be relevant to your deployment. So just wanted to make sure that credentials, volunteer roles, we covered that. We talked all about, when you'll get your event passes, how they work, what your roles and expectations are. On this slide, I do see here it says volunteers roles, clinical versus non-clinical. Unfortunately, this year, we will not be deploying any non-clinical volunteers, which means in any non-clinically licensed or medically licensed volunteers to this event. And that is solely because the request that we received from the Philadelphia Fire Department is for a lot of clinical support, because they anticipate, especially this being however many years now that we're outside of COVID, that the numbers for runners this year will be essentially through the roof and be very high. So just like we saw for the Broad Street Run, there were, I think, over 35,000 runners for that. This we anticipate, especially because it is a two-day event, being even larger. So with that being said, we had a lot of unfortunate instances that happened at the Broad Street Run, some cardiac arrests and things like that, where a lot of clinical hands were needed on site to support those patients, to get them the clinical care that they needed. So I think that just kind of played into this year. Next year, it may be different. We do always seek the opportunity to bring either, med students or even non-clinical volunteers to support these events as well, because building those skill sets for non-clinical volunteers is equally essential. However, we do respect our partners and their wishes. So for this one, I just wanted to make that clear. That is why this year round, for those who were wondering, we are doing clinical only. So just wanted to clarify that. And if anyone has any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me or Brianna, or, enter any questions into the chat, and then we can discuss that after the training is over. Speaking of shifts and break times, so as pointed out earlier, for Saturday, it's 5:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sunday, November 19th, 5:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., again, with potential early dismissal for both of those days, really depending on the run itself. Excuse me, how many runners come out, how quickly they finish the marathons and things like that. And then in terms of breaks, there will be short breaks throughout. I mean, especially at the beginning when everyone takes off, we're not going to see anybody for quite some time. So that is the time where you can get refreshments. The PFD and their EMS medical teams, they typically go all out for us in years past, and they have always provided some sort of light refreshments. Last year, I believe it was bagels and muffins and things of that sort. And I think it was hot cocoa. I don't want to misquote that, or maybe it was hot coffee. I cannot remember. But please always bring your own, refreshments and things like that as well, especially if you have any dietary restrictions, because it is, just bagels and danishes, and, but if you will need something throughout the day, because again, the shift time, either 5:30 to 1 or 5:30 to 2, though there may be that early potential dismissal, just please make sure you have the things that you'll need to keep yourself comfortable and fed throughout the duration of this deployment. Just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. And I mean, there's things going on around the marathon, so there will be downtime as well, where if you need to stretch your legs or take a walk or things like that, you can, or even go watch the marathon. That's been fun in years past, cheering on people that we know, see them, because we're right at the finish line as well. That's exactly, if you're looking for the Med 10, if you, can't figure out where it is, or if no one can point it out to you, it's right at the finish line, which is typically where we're located. So we like to watch people, run and finish the race, things like that. But with that being said, we're always keeping in mind that we do need to be readily available and on standby if and when a medical emergency happens, or someone comes in and they need clinical care, which they always do every year, unfortunately. Someone, pulls muscles, or it actually happens a lot where they trip over, they get right to the finish line, and then something happens, their legs cave out or something, and they trip. And that's where we see a lot of injuries as well. We've seen people trip over people. We've seen people trip over, just a lot of things happen at the finish line. So just kind of be on your toes and be prepared for anything. But just wanted to talk about those two things in terms of shifts and breaks. All right, and then when your shift is over, please check out with either your tent lead or text me at 215-789-5333. And that is how we typically check out for all of our special event deployments. You will always check out with your either the medical lead, the tent lead, and you will also check out with me. I ask everyone, and I push this every year, please, regardless of who you speak to in the moment, unless it's me, unless you're physically checking out with me and saying, hey, Satori, I'm heading out for the day. Please always just, text me and let me know that you're checked out and that you're going home or you're going about your day and your deployment has ended. That is really just for your safety. It's, for accountability purposes. I like to make sure that everyone is where they're supposed to be. Also just want to make sure that if you're, not supposed to be in the tent, or if that we're not looking for people who aren't present. So please just always text me at the end of any of your special events. Or if it's, Brianna the day of, or whoever your MRC point of contact will be, your primary MRC point of contact, we'll always let you know, like, this is the person you'll text and check out with, or this is the person you'll go to and check out with. But for me, for both days, I apologize. Alexa, turn office light on. She can be temperamental. I apologize. But for both days, it'll be either Brianna and or myself that you'll check out with. So again, that is my contact information. And then here, I just wanted to drop this. Please always feel free to contact us with any questions, concerns, or for any additional information. If you feel like you're reaching out to us or you're answering the surveys, but you may have not heard back, or if you want some more information about whatever we sent out, please always reach out to us. We're always happy to get back to you. I will say this is my personal cell phone number, but and I don't mind sharing that with anyone. I want all of the volunteers to have it, but please make sure, I do text preferred. If you call, please leave a voicemail, but also text preferred. And then if you email mrc@phila.gov, we will guaranteed get back to you, either Brianna or myself. We'll see your email and we'll touch base as soon as possible. We do try to keep you updated as much as possible as well. And we will do even more about our engagement tool, which is our LinkedIn here at the bottom. Please also follow us if you don't already at Philadelphia Medical Reserve Corps on LinkedIn for any upcoming opportunities, trainings. We have quite a few things coming your way, and then quite more that we're planning for in the future. So we value your time, we value your skills and services. We thank you for dedicating your time to service the city of Philadelphia in its many ways that may call upon you. And so with that, I will just say thank you for your volunteerism. And for those of you that we will be seeing at the marathon, I look forward to seeing you. And I just wanted to say thank you. If there are any questions right now, I'm going to go into the chat function, see if there's any questions, and we'll just go from there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can focus on these questions. Sorry, go ahead, Brianna.
So the first question is from Cody. Are med students able to help out as clinical volunteers this year?
So unfortunately, I do apologize. I was really hoping, because we always do reserve a certain amount of slots for either health professional students, whether they be, clinical or not. But unfortunately, this year, the ask was for solely clinical volunteers. So unfortunately, the answer is no. But hopefully next year we can. I'm pushing for you guys to have, some hands-on experience. So really pushing for that for next year. But unfortunately not this year. I'm sorry.
Dr. Rodriguez says he's going to be bringing his stethoscope. Is anything else needed for the day?
No, for any clinician coming to the deployment, you can feel free to bring whatever you need, your stethoscope, you can wear your scope, whatever you're comfortable in, but nothing else is necessary. We will be bringing everything that you'll need with us. So when you check in with us, we'll make sure that you get everything that you need. Okay.
And there aren't any other questions in the chat at the moment.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, we will touch base with you. We'll touch base with you tomorrow. All right. I guess, I got too good at this and I kind of blew through all that in less than an hour. So I'm more than happy to give you all back some time in your evening. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. We do have some upcoming fun trainings and events like that going on, so you can expect to hear more from us. If you didn't know, we're doing psychological first aid in December. We plan on doing a second session in the spring. We just had a stop the bleed training. So there's a lot more coming your way, and we'll do virtual trainings in between as well. So keep in mind that more will be coming. But we will definitely reach back out to you, Cody, as well. And but yeah, if you need any follow-up, either you can say something in the chat, or you can reach out to us via email and we'll follow up with you that way as well. All right, and I'm just going to end the recording. We're happy to hang on for any questions or any lingering thoughts.